Welcome back to the Talk with AVC. We are now in our NFL segment. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago when Oklahoma lost because they couldn't make a stop on defense? And I had a bit of a chuckle and said, it's always nice when you do this type of stuff, when you get to be right every once in a while. Well, it might be that time again, because who here had a fun time on Thanksgiving watching the Dallas Cowboys disappoint their fan base on primetime football during a holiday? I very much enjoyed it. Oh boy. So, where to begin with the Cowboys, which is where we're actually going to start this week. You got whopped by the Bills. You are now 0-5 against teams with a winning. You haven't beaten a team with a winning record. Is it safe to say this might be the most disappointing team in football right now? It's tough because there's a lot of disappointing teams. We'll get to you in a minute, Philadelphia. But wow, was that disappointing. Jason Garrett, if you want to win a Super Bowl, Jason Garrett needs to go. He needs to go. And now, because of all this, I'm hearing rumors that Byron Jones and Amari Cooper are gone. They're just out. They're out. They're not coming back. Ready to see Dak without his best receiver? As far as Dak goes, Dak played an all right game. Look, he didn't really play a great game. He made some very poor decisions. Had a bad interception. Took sacks when he really shouldn't. He's becoming. I always praise guys who are mobile guys who become a pocket passer, but who become more of a pocket passer. But Dak is becoming almost too much of a pocket passer. It almost seems like he's now afraid to use his legs. And for a guy who's supposed to be a safe quarterback and the game plan. Zeke was having a good game, and you only give him 16 carries? What are you doing? Your identity is a ground and pound team, and you're not sticking to your identity, and you're losing games. And wow, I think I mentioned it last week. This defense was nowhere near as good as we thought it was going to be. Holy. And the reason I say that is Buffalo does not have the best crop of receivers. Buffalo has a solid slot option in Cole Beasley. He's not an elite receiver, but he's an okay slot receiver. They have an okay deep threat in John Brown. Oh, yeah, and that's pretty much it. They really don't have a ton of weapons. Devin Singletary ran all over the Dallas defense. The D-line gets no push. DeMarcus Lawrence shows up maybe once every 3 games ever since he got paid. The linebackers look kind of exposed because they get no help from their D-line. The secondary is a weak link. Byron Jones doesn't look as dominant as he was last year. The kicking game is an issue for them, and their offense chooses when to sleep. So I'm done with Dallas. They are by far the worst team in the playoffs as of right now. And the NFC East is a dumpster fire this year. So, yeah, I'm just done with the Cowboys. If we're talking about the Bills real quick, I said about a week or two ago, maybe they weren't ready. Maybe they needed about another year or so before they could really compete in the AFC. What do you need to win in football? You need a good defense. Is your defense Super Bowl caliber? Yes. This is for Buffalo's case. Is your coach Super Bowl caliber? Sean McDermott? Yeah, I'd say so. Do you beat yourself? Other than the game that's the thing. Every game Buffalo has lost this year, they've beat themselves. But ever since they lost that game versus Cleveland, Josh Allen looked great on offense. It seems like they found a rhythm. With him, John Brown, Cole Beasley, and Devin Singletary, they seem like they found a rhythm on offense. So I'm going to say, as long as you don't beat yourself, the Bills have a solid chance of making a good run in the playoffs. Now, unfortunately, because they're in the same division as the Patriots, they're going to have to probably work the wild card route. Buffalo's 8-3. or 8-3, 9-3, 9-3. I think they're 9-3. Yes, they were 8-3, I believe, heading into this week. So they're 9-3. Buffalo's almost at the point where they've clinched a playoff spot. I think they need another win, and I think they've clinched a spot. Something like that. If New England doesn't have a lot of tough games left on their schedule, I think that was their last tough game. Maybe they play the Chiefs again or something, but I don't see that being that great of a game. Unless Patrick Mahomes really goes off. We'll get to him in a minute. But the Buffalo Bills are probably going to have to go the wild card route if they win. And then they're going to have to probably go to Foxborough because they're going to be the first wild card. They're going to be the best wild card team. And assuming everything stands pat, even if there's an upset in the other game, again, that team will probably end up playing Baltimore. And Buffalo would end up having to go to Foxborough. Are they ready? Not quite, but I think they can give a lot of these teams in the playoffs a run for their money. I think they're a dangerous team when they get in. I think if you look past the Bills, you might be out. So the Bears still suck. I don't care that they won. They beat a guy who was an undrafted rookie from Purdue. He was actually the last guy to beat Ohio State, David Blow. But they beat a guy who wasn't even supposed to start that game. Jeff Driscoll was hurt and was announced not cleared like an hour before. They beat a guy who wasn't even supposed to start, and they didn't even beat him handedly. They had to come back. Their offense is still a mess. I don't care that Trubisky's completion percentage looks better. His only completions are about 5-yard checkdowns. Not a good quarterback. The Bears still suck. I don't want to hear it. Lions, yeah, you're done. I said that about 3 weeks ago. The Saints looking iffy. Now, the Saints-Falcon game, yeah, so let's get the laughs out of the Matt Ryan, out of the stiff arm around the world. Yeah, let's get that laugh out. When you really take a look at that game, the Falcons turned the ball over 3 times. 3 times. And you still almost lost the game, New Orleans. You let them recover 2 onside kicks. The Falcons had a missed extra point and a missed field goal and 3 turnovers. And you still almost lost. Do you get my point about New Orleans being kind of iffy? Because this is the stuff that scares me. I don't care that's an individual team. You got taken to the ringer by Atlanta twice. They beat you once. And you got taken to the ringer by Carolina, where a shanked field goal kept them from hurting you. They don't fill me with as much confidence as they should. This is why I think if they play a team like the 49ers, they're going to lose. The ground game with them is not the same. Kamara looks off. I don't really know what it is, but he looks off. They're giving a lot more carries than Latavius Murray. Outside, Michael Thomas is great, but outside of him, they don't have a vertical threat. They can't stretch the ball downfield. Breeze's arm strength isn't what it used to be. Marshall Lattimore's hurt every other week, and their defense, they got 9 sacks last night against a mediocre offensive line. Not last night, Thanksgiving. Against a mediocre offensive line. Where is that the rest of the time? Their defense is going to have to carry them if they want to go far in the playoffs. And it has the potential to do so, but not based off what I've seen the past couple of weeks. They can't choose when and when they want to show up. Get 9 sacks one week and let up 31 the previous week, especially at home. That's just you can't do that. The Ravens are the favorites, hands down, no questions asked. After beating the 49ers, the Ravens have literally beaten I think they have, I don't know who else they have next, but they have literally beaten every team in the NFL there is to beat. They did lose to the Chiefs, but that was really before they found their rhythm, and they did lose to the Browns. Again, same thing. This was before they really got into rhythm. And, then Lamar Jackson, he's just insane, man. Can we just take a look at this Ravens roster from top to bottom really fast? So you got Lamar Jackson, who's arguably the MVP of the league. Him or Russell Wilson. An insane mobile threat who has somehow found out how to throw an accurate ball. You've got a solid tight end in Mark Andrews and the dude back up in Hayden Hurst, and a deep threat receiver in Marquise Hollywood Brown, and some solid, not great, but solid receiving targets, building up that core. You got a great 3-down back in Mark Ingram and a solid backup back in Gus Edwards. You even got a solid third back in Justice Hill. So you're built to run the ball. You've got a top 10 O-line. Then you look at your defense. Your defense is still finding ways to get a pass rush. You have a great head coach. You have a great ownership. You have a great organization. You got one of the best safeties in football. You have a great secondary again. The pass rush is hit or miss, but you scheme it. You scheme up good blitzes, and you have a great home field advantage. Oh, and to top it all off, you have the best kicker in all of football who can hit you a field goal from 53 yards or more. And you've even got a solid punter. Not that you punt quite often, but you do. So in what way is this team not the favorite? It's not the Patriots, guys. The favorite this year is Baltimore because they seem to be the best team from top to bottom. Until this week, you could have argued it was San Francisco. Now there isn't really much of an argument. It was a great game this week, but I don't really know if there's much of an argument. If they have another shot, sure, the Niners can beat them, but I don't think there's much of an argument. Baltimore's the favorite. Oh, the Jets. Oh, the Jets. Oh, the Jets. Oh, the Jets. When you're a Jet fan, I have to imagine you expect the season to go pretty poor. But what do the Jets do to piss off their fans even more? Why, they get their hopes up, of course, and they do this constantly. Instead of just being outright awful, they'll go on like a little mini streak where they get some hope along. Sam Darnold looks great. Everything's clicking. Maybe Adam Gase isn't a complete nut job. Oh, we're getting there. Oh my gosh, we're 2 games out of a playoff spot. We've got 2 week games against Cincinnati and Miami. Yep. You got blown out by the Bengals. You lost by 2 scores to the Bengals. The Bengals, or the Bungles, as I call them. That was their first. They were 0-11. They were the only team left in the league that did not have a win, and they had brought back the guy who had been benched in Andy Dalton to try to just get them 1 win, and you let them walk all over you on both sides of the ball. Joe Mixon, it turned into the Joe Mixon show by halftime. And the defense was kicking you up and down the field. What on earth happened? I don't think any more needs to be said on that. That's just bad. I didn't write it down, but I just remember now. I said I'd bring it up earlier. Is Philadelphia. Wow, Philadelphia, you had to be sitting there on Thanksgiving eating your turkey, giving thanks for the Buffalo Bills because they just gave you a shot again at the division. All you had to do, you had the easiest schedule remaining in the NFL. You had Miami, you had Washington, you had the Giants twice, and you had Dallas. All you had to do was win out to get the playoff spot. That's all you had to do. And you lose to the Dolphins. Not only that, you give up 38 to 40 points to the Dolphins. Why? All you had to do was win, and you were dominating in the first quarter. And then the wheels came off. What on earth happened? What happened? I tried to still be optimistic about this Philadelphia team. They win big games against Buffalo, and they win. Oh, God, I don't even want to bring it up. They win a couple big games, but then they lose to teams like the Falcons. They lose to the Dolphins. They lose to oh, my gosh. I don't even know if you're going to beat Dallas. I don't even know if I have you penciled in to beat the Giants anymore. Or the Redskins, given that. What the heck happened in the NFL this week? This was upset Armageddon. So not only that, and then, Carolina. You lost to Washington. At home. Actually, no. No, you're on the road. I'm sorry. But you lost to Washington. You let Dwayne Haskins beat you. And you even orchestrated the drive at the end of the game to get yourselves into the red zone. And your quarterback decides to act like a 5-year-old kid playing Madden and just run backwards until he got sacked. Christian McCaffrey can only carry your team for so long, Carolina, and you needed this win. You looked past Washington, and now you're sitting outside the playoffs. Oh, and in this wild card race, with the Seahawks already taking up a spot. Oh, that was not what you needed, boys. That was not what you needed at all. You know, I had said the Steelers were probably a playoff team. And after the whole Browns mess, I kind of hopped off them a little bit. Now I might go full circle here and say Tom Coughlin may deserve Coach of the Year. The fact that you're winning games with the Duckman Hodges as your quarterback. No James Conner, no Juju Smith-Schuster. That defense deserves all the credit in the world for winning games for Pittsburgh. TJ Watt is having an outstanding season, arguably Defensive Player of the Year. And same thing with Micah Fitzpatrick. That trade is looking better and better every week. So I was a little worried about them having to play the Browns again. And then all of a sudden, when I'm in the parking lot waiting for the game at my firehouse before I watch the game, I realized something. It's the Browns. Of course they're going to find a way to blow this easy schedule to try to sneak into the playoffs. Well, what happened to the Browns? Well, did anybody see Freddie Kitchens' t-shirt? You're the head coach and you're representing your organization, and you wore a Pittsburgh started it shirt. Really? Really? Oh boy. Now, I've talked at length about the character and immaturity issues of the Browns. If you want to look at that, go look at one of my other previous videos. But I think Freddie Kitchens now even more so personifies it. You're supposed to be the guy representing your organization. This is something a position coach does, which is what Freddie Kitchens was for his whole career. He was a positions coach. That's something a position coach does. That's a teammate-friendly guy that position coaches do. That's exactly something a guy like that does. And now it's given them an excuse to fire him, and John Dorsey is probably jumping out of his seat to do that. So the Packers and the Giants, yeah, that was a blowout. There's not really much to talk about on that. And the Packers keep pace and beat up on a team. I think Pat Shurmur's done. You know, sources inside the Giants have actually said Pat Shurmur doesn't meet with the quarterbacks every week. You're the head coach. You have something better to do than meet with your rookie quarterback every week to discuss game planning? What else do you have to do? You know, I can understand giving a guy like Adam Gase another year just because of how bad the Jets are. But Pat Shurmur, no. No. Bad play calling, bad design, and you're not meeting with your rookie quarterback. That's part of developing a quarterback. Sorry, you're gone in my book. Nick Foles, 100 million reasons to cry. So is it safe to say that Nick Foles can't play outside of Philadelphia now? You know, we said it when he first played in Kansas City and the Rams. Now we're saying with the Jacksonville Jaguars. People thought there'd be this drastic turnaround for the Jags once he got back. Well, now they're back to Gardner Minshew, and they look better with him. You know, when you pay a guy like that $100 million, you expect him to perform, not get outdone by a Uncle Rico knockoff. And that's exactly what's happened. So there you go, Jacksonville. You have 100 million reasons to cry, and Nick Foles is definitely one of them. I may have jumped the gun in Oakland. You know, I always talk about good coaching and how important that is to a team. Well, Oakland, you let me down. You really let me down. You know, you got blown up by the Jets. Now you got blown up by the Chiefs, and you just shot yourself in the foot. Patrick Mahomes didn't even need to be great this week to beat you guys. He didn't need to put the team on his back because you shot yourself in the foot so many times. Interception, fumble, bad sacks, not being able to do anything on offense. I don't think you scored till the third quarter. I don't know what happened, Gruden, but this team went to hell in a handbasket. I know this defense wasn't great, but I thought this was a young and hungry team, not a bunch of not whatever they were last year. Don't let the Rams fool you. So the Rams put up big points on the Cardinals this week. Don't let that fool you. Don't let that fool you. Cardinals have one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL and allowed LA's line to actually do something resembling blocking this week and give Jared Goff a decent amount of time to throw. Look, we've seen what happens when a Sean McVay offense is actually executed correctly. They can go to the Super Bowl, but don't count them in anytime soon. Let's just go with that. All right, we get to my last point here of the day as running out of time. The Pats need to sink or swim on offense. So everybody's freaking out over New England, saying it's Tom Brady's fault or he's gassed up. No. Here's the problem in New England. They have one problem in New England, and its name was Antonio Brown. That's their problem. What do I mean by that? If Antonio Brown acted like a normal human being for about 3 months, New England would be undefeated probably. And here's why. It's so apparent when they get down to the red zone, New England, or when they get into a big play, how obvious it is that you don't have a number one weapon on the outside. You know, Edelman, he's a great number two. He's forced to be a number one. Mohamed Sanu, he's a great number two, number three. He's a great number three. He's forced to be a number two. You got no real tight end. Your running backs can't do everything for you, and they're playing I mean, it's so obvious people have figured it out. Can they still make the Super Bowl? Of course. They made it last year with the mediocre offense. But it's still possible if AB gets approved that he comes back. Tom Brady lobbied for him to come back, and he got into Kraft's face about letting him go, specifically because I believe he knew this was probably going to happen. The Patriots just look stagnant on offense. Their defense is great. Their defense is outstanding. But when they're on the field that long, what else can they do? What do the Texans have that the Patriots don't? They have a great weapon on the outside in DeAndre Hopkins. They have a great second weapon in Kenny Stills. They have a good third weapon in Kike Kute. They have Carlos Hyde. They have Duke Johnson. They have solid weapons. That was the difference last night. That was the difference. The Patriots need to do something. They need to do something fast. Belichick needs to pull a crazy one. The Patriots have never been great at developing weapons, so rookie N'Keal Harry really needs to step up, or they need to get Antonio Brown back, or their offense is going to continue to be hard to watch. All right, that was my last point. I have about a minute left here, so I'm just going to take this time to say, given this is like the last week of the semester, it's definitely possible there's no show next week. I don't know. There might be one, but there might also not be, depending on how much work I have to do. So we're going to get a quick few thank yous out here. I want to thank Iona College and specifically WICR and the e-board, AJ, Dom, Kenzie, Val, all those guys. I'd like to thank you all very much for giving me this opportunity. I've had an insane time. I've had a lot of fun doing this show. I'd like to thank my best buddies, Max and Teddy, who, if it wasn't for a fantasy show in the garage, I'd never have the confidence to do any of this. Max, you're off in the Marines. I'm proud of you, buddy. Teddy, I hope you're out of college next year, and I hope you're doing a similar thing. And I also want to give a shout out to my sports marketing and economics teacher, Kirk Allen, who, without your encouragement and your idea, I never would have even tried something like this, never would have thought it was possible. So, my man, thank you. And lastly, with my last few seconds here, I want to thank every single person who took time out of their day to watch this show. I had a blast making it. I had a blast talking to you all. Hope to see you all next semester on the Talk with AVC. Bye, guys.